Oh, there is a flag?
Yeah, because they told me at the Legion I can take a flag and put it in Buchanan, so I did.
Well, we'll put one of ours because.
It is one of yours.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay, all right.
So I'll just take.
Because they'll pick it up in another week.
Right.
And it'll be gone.
Right amount of community involvement,
But yeah, that's exactly what I did. I looked at Marsh instead of March, or he had the card pulled out for Marsh.
Because everybody was talking about the markers because of Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I mean, and Moline, did they get that all sorted out?
As far as I know.
Okay.
Did you get over there yesterday?
No, I couldn't breathe.
I
Dew
didn't
point
either.
was so freaking high.
Oh,
It was 68.
I know.
I walked out for ours and sat on the porch. You know,
Yeah, some of these
I was clear down to 84 saturation for a while. I thought, well,
this is.
I put my oxygen on. Why didn't I think of doing this 2 hours earlier?
Well, I tell you what, I had to go to the funeral home today and I thought I was coming to the end of the fiscal year.
And it was
So
today.
he had, if you look,
Jack
this
was
amended
been on
budget.
for a week.
So I don't have
How's that all going?
Hey, and like,
the actual stuff, but yes, I mean, you can tell
She had
he
an
left
infection
any line
yesterday.
that doesn't have a
Little bit
number
of
in
fever
here.
broke last night.
my son.
They're anticipating to spend whatever this amount is by the end
Well,
of
and
the
you
season.
do
So like, the
Well, I'm
cops
like,
rate, well, we budgeted at 25, we're not getting any, so there's not gonna be anything that
So
happens.
that's 2 surgeries.
Salary,
They don't know how to bank so my husband said that was serious.
And this one's knocked her on her butt.
we thought we were gonna spend 72, you know, we know to get to the end of the year, it's gonna take another 8 grand.
He said, he's like,
Yeah, I called.
he's like, these young guys don't know what to do.
Yeah,
Well,
so
Saturday,
the
I went
budget
down there,
amendment
and
for the general
we had
fund, we're
the
gonna come in
funeral
about
out here.
$16,000 under budget on the general fund.
And it just got.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Confused,
on the
yeah.
general fund, the projected is 16,000 under
So,
budget. And then,
Did about
to save some real money, your water sewer budget is way under budget at the
Fell
moment.
down, hit his head hard enough to kill himself.
Was that what it was?
I don't know if that
I
His
thought he had
son-in-law
probably
turned
about
around,
$1
dropped
million
it.
half
Hear
under
anything
budget
else?
there.
You know, I figured
Within
it
the
was,
Yeah.
but I know he didn't get the COVID shot.
On
like,
our bond payments haven't kicked in at the highest amount yet,
And
as
his
part of
son-in-law
that,
dropped
and
out of the
then,
vehicle. He said, I don't know
This
why.
is true.
no, the bond payments are right here, and, but like, for a good example, we haven't had Andy Warner here.
He said, yeah, he's got
Oh, so
peripheral
that's-
really bad.
So Tim's been absorbing,
He
yeah,
got a
red
really bad
means there's
bout,
money coming out.
fell down and
So like,
bashed his own
we're not
head.
paying salary, we're also not paying fringe benefits.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday up at the Legion. They said, "Did you hear about Tom Hediger?" And I says, "Well, no."
We've-
That happened
they've-
Sunday
the
morning.
state
I know
has
it can't
funded
be
us
Wow.
$585,000 in their state revenue sharing sales tax.
You never know when they're gonna get the bite one,
Nope.
bite the big one, whatever.
Yes.
Good evening, welcome to the regular meeting of this Buchanan City Commission. It's Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, at 7 p.m. This time I'd like to call to order public hearing number 1. Can we have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Here.
Whedon,
Here.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Present.
Swem.
Here.
No quorum.
Thank you. Someone like to make a motion to open a public hearing?
I'll make said motion.
Is there support? Have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swem.
Yes.
At this time, the City Commission will hear public comments on proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. All persons wishing to comment shall be given the opportunity to do so. Any person addressing the commissions shall do so at the podium, state his or her name, and direct their comments directly to the commission. In the event many people wish to comment, I, as presiding officer, may determine each person speaking shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. As the presiding officer, I may terminate any public comments that are unreasonably lengthy, violate the city's rules of procedure for city commission meetings, or are unrelated to the subject of the public hearing. At this time, is there any public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay, seeing no public comment, would someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there
Also
support?
move.
We have roll call, please?
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swem,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call to order the public hearing number 2. Can we have roll call, please?
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swem,
Abstain. Business interest.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Someone like to make a motion to open public hearing number 2?
Sean will make said motion.
Second.
This,
Oh, it was roll call that I abstained. Sorry, I didn't mean to abstain for roll call.
You're fine.
I thought it was opening the hearing.
No.
Who, did you make that motion?
Yes,
Mark,
and then
can
Dan
you-
second.
Can you read it, just to make sure can you read that motion, please?
I move to open the public hearing and a public comment on consideration of obsolete property rehabilitation, Oprah, tax exemption for 206 Days Avenue.
Thank you. Still support?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, the city commission will hear public comments on consideration of an Oprah for 206 Days Avenue. All persons wishing to comment shall be given the opportunity to do so. Any person addressing the commission shall do so at the podium, state his or her name, and direct their comments directly to the commission. In the event many people wish to comment, I, as presiding officer, may determine that each person speaking shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. As the presiding officer, I may terminate any public comments that are unreasonably lengthy, violate the city's rules of procedure for city commission meetings, or are unrelated to the subject of the public hearing. Mr. Murphy?
Thanks, Mayor, Commission, members of the public. Rich Murphy, Community Development Director. I am very, very excited to be before you this evening for a critical step forward in a redevelopment project in Buchanan. And in my world, a project that it really does not get any more exciting than it gets in the world of redevelopment, when old historic liveries become new boutique hotels, and the job creation and the construction jobs and the economic benefit and the leveraging of the history. We only need to look at down the road at a project called Journeyman to know what these projects can do for the community. And I want to remind the members of the public where we have come from this project. It was almost several months in August when I came before you requesting the creation of the district for the Oprah tax abatement, and we created that district for 206 Days Avenue. Since then, and I think at the time when we created the district, we told you why we were doing so, that we had a great project proposed, that we had the attention of the state and MEDC, that we had potentially millions of dollars of grant funds that were lined up for this project, and we're competing fiercely with other redevelopment projects around the state. So since then, the developer who is here tonight, Michael Reed, representing the developer team, he and his team have been very busy doing a lot of things. One is building their performa, building their construction team, meeting on a bi-weekly basis with MEDC. I was also a part of those calls, continuing to kind of answer questions and instill confidence in the state that this project is ready to go. Since then, we've had site plan approval at the Plan Commission. We've had construction and design plans and building documents created, and the developer has purchased and closed on the building. So because of that status, they are now here for the second step of Oprah, which is to apply for the actual exemption certificates. And I will remind you that this is about a $3.5 million project in 206 Days Avenue, of which $1.25 million is going to be leveraged with a revitalization and placemaking RAP grant on the state level. So basically, the holy grail of grants we have in our hands. This is the grant that every historic town in Michigan goes after. We have it if we can do a few things. One of them is the one piece of heavy lifting on the local level, which is a critical part of this project, and that is to approve the exemption certificates for Oprah. So that's what we're doing tonight. Again, Michael Reed is here. Zach Vaughn of Cornerstone Alliance is here. Zach has been instrumental in this process from day one, who he's really been our shepherd prepare all the documents, and we'll be the one that presents the certificates to the state. And we really appreciate you being here. Zach, you'll remember, has helped us before on 2 other Oprah requirements. Now, Oprah is a powerful tool that can be used in redevelopment. It basically, in most of the cases we've used it, if we don't approve this, the project won't happen. And if we do approve this, the project proceeds. And with that, Zach, I think, just wanted to get up and introduce himself, and then certainly we welcome any questions or comments on the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Zachary Vaughn, as Rich mentioned, I am with Cornerstone Alliance. We are the lead economic development organization for the county, for Berrien County here. Similar to what Rich mentioned, I won't be too long here. We have worked with you all in getting a few Oprahs off the ground here. I like to think of Rich as being the pilot, and we are one of those guys in the green jackets on the aircraft carrier. We're just doing the pre-flight checks and making sure everything is good to go. Rich and working with the commission here, he gets everything going and get it airborne to the state and get things moving. So, we're here to always answer any questions, concerns that the commission may have or the public may have. And we just want to make sure that, again, we're very clear on exactly what this tool is utilized for, and again, the impact that it can have on projects like this. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, is there any public comment?
Hey guys, I'm Michael Reed. I'm here on behalf of the Livery Project, 206 Days Avenue, and I want to start by just thanking Rich and the city. Had a lot of investment opportunity, and this entire project's just been super comfortable with Rich kind of helping out. We've had Zach help out a lot, and it just feels good to have just some backing. We have a lot of stuff going on, and you guys have made everything feel good. This project, this grant or this Oprah abatement is. It's not just important; it's required. I mean, we really have to get this done. We have, I think, $1.8 million in just the. Sorry, I'm losing my spot. Just in the permit amount was $1.8 million. An acquisition that brings us well over $2 million, and we definitely have this project vetted by. A ton of organization and industry experts like Western Michigan College in their small development center. In construction alone, we're looking at probably 50 short-term jobs, and in long-term jobs, we're looking at over 20. That's between all of the different projects we have going into this building. So we're super excited, for one, to just keep money local. That's important to, I think, everybody. The investors are local. We have local contractors. And obviously local jobs and local business, just day-to-day business for this project. So we're super excited about it, and we hope you guys see it as exciting as we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael.
Good evening, gentlemen. Michael Rowland, 4793 Tulip Tree Lane. I'm here to lend my support of the Oprah exemption for the livery building on 206 Days Avenue. As an investor of the only other Oprah property in downtown, to my knowledge, that's also on Days Avenue, I can attest to how vital this economic development tool is for getting a project like this done. On my building at 101 Days, when we looked at this, we had a roof that was caved in, floor that was in the basement, water damage to the entire building, and we had no idea what we were going to do when we pulled all the walls apart. And it was as bad as we could have thought it was once we actually pulled the walls apart. We replaced almost every structural beam in the building. And by the time we got to where we are today, finishing the project, if I would have had to open up my tax base to the $1 million plus that we put into the building, it would have been a devastating situation and a punishment for an investor that has put his life and time on the line to be able to get this done. This project's no different. We have, the investment group are all local people. They're all people that are well respected within the community, have a lot of experience with construction, and they're hitting a need that is vital to the growth of Buchanan. Hospitality is something that we've been talking about for several years now. As someone that runs also the Common Concert Series, I can tell you the vast majority of our acts that we have to do hospitality for, we send out of Buchanan, and that's unfortunate. Those should stay here. Selfishly, as someone that also will have a restaurant down the street from this, I'm a high tide rises all boats person. I think that this is something that's vital if we want to be able to have a downtown, like when we were talking about Three Oaks. We were talking prior to us coming up here, and you know, the idea of a journeyman plopping down in our downtown tomorrow isn't going to happen. How it's going to happen is a lot of local investors putting their time and their hearts on their strings and getting them out and getting their projects out into the public. And this is a base level, in my opinion, standard for any project like this. And in addition to that, it's saving obsolescence within our community. You know, if these gentlemen wouldn't have stepped up for this building, I don't believe a year from now this building would be there. So it's something, again, we shouldn't be punishing people, that, especially locals, that are willing to invest their time and money into saving these properties that are so important to our communities. So projects like this need our support, are widely supported in our peer community groups, and my hope is that you can approve the Oprah exemption and continue the precedents that our community will support our local investors. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Arthur Havlicek, Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'll be really brief so as not to reiterate a lot of the excellent points, but we're also here to speak in support of the Oprah exemption for this property. We think it's an incredible development that's coming together that has taken, obviously, it's gotten the attention of MEDC to the tune of a pretty significant investment in our community. The local investment as well with the different partners that are at the table. And the 50 construction jobs, the 20 permanent jobs, and the fact that it's going to be a boon to our hospitality industry and replace something that is, as was said, functionally obsolete, is just a great thing for not only Buchanan, but for the region. So again, Arthur Havlicek, Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber of Commerce, on behalf of our board and our members, we're in full support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, someone like to make a motion to close public hearing number 2?
This is money. I'd move to close the public hearing and the public comment for the Oprah tax exemption for 206 Days Avenue.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Have roll call, please.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Abstain.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'd like to call to order the regular meeting. It is 7:15. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Here.
Whedon,
Here.
Bianski,
Yes.
Swam,
Here.
Money.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
Sean will make said motion.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll second.
We have roll call, please?
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving down to public comment on agenda items only. If you'd like to make a public comment on an agenda item, please make your way to the podium. State your name for the minutes.
Chris Kennedy, 419 West Front. Came in to speak about something, but I see here we're talking the delinquent utility bills applied to the taxes. I would be opposed to this just due to my experience this last week in trying to deal with LRS. I've paid every bill they have had. I've attempted for over a week to get a hold of somebody there. I speak with people from India. It's a clearinghouse or whatever you want, call center. They say, we will connect you with somebody that helps. I've sat on hold for over an hour only to be just disconnected. I put in 4 hours today sitting on the phone. Every day I have called, last week since Wednesday through today, I have put in, please call me back while I'm sitting there on the phone. It's taking away from my business time. It's taking away from everything else I need to do. I have everything from the bank that it was paid through my bill pay. They're totally unresponsive. It's some large company that bought out Buchanan, who we had no problem with. So if we're unable to actually even deal with these people, I would definitely be opposed to having the city trying to collect monies that very possibly people have already paid and kind of been screwed out of. And I would suggest that we need to look into, for this town, another supplier for that utility, because they are absolutely unresponsive, and I'm not the only one. I've talked to probably 10, 15 people over the last week that have had the same basic story. They've called them, they don't have a can, the cans get damaged. People have had their yards dug when they're picking up the cans, and just absolutely no response. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Seeing none, let's move to the consent agenda. Someone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Also move.
Is there support?
This money I'll support.
We have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving down to reports by departments, committees, and boards, starting with the Community Development Report. Director Rich Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is annual renewal for our one and only micro business, Lifted, and they have submitted their application, paid their fees, completed the application to our satisfaction. Backgrounds have been run by Buchanan Police Department, and my recommendation is for approval of the annual renewal permit. I will add that Roy Walpole of Lifted, remind me, local family business in Buchanan is here this evening, and he's happy to answer any questions for you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, or anybody want to make a motion?
Do you want to say anything?
It's going great.
Yeah? I was just curious how business has been.
We're at 6 months since we've opened the door, and everything keeps getting better and better. Slowly, I mean, but better.
Good.
Someone like to make a motion?
Sean, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
Do you have a question?
Are we good?
No.
All right, I'll move to approve the microbusiness annual permit renewal for Whirlpool Enterprise LLC as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll second.
Can we have roll call, please?
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 2.
Thanks, Mayor. Second item is the Ross Sanders sale, and I'm happy to report that we have significant progress on that and reached several milestones very recently, including the draft purchase agreement and the preservation easement that was developed by the state agency in conjunction with the Buchanan preservationists and the developer, Michael Rowland. And we are getting very close to signing the contract and closing on the property. I'm being proactive in this case by getting this resolution before you, because I'm anticipating that, just like we did with the 123 Days Avenue, that the title company will require a resolution authorizing an individual to convey the property on behalf of the municipality. So that's what this resolution does. It's really for the title company. You have already voted unanimously to proceed on the sale. So I know Michael and I have both put in a lot of work to get to this point, and we really are close, and would appreciate your support on this step, and then that will allow the city and Gateway to close on the property.
Thank you. Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve resolution 2024.05/13 as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
This is money I'll support.
Any discussion? Can we have roll call, please?
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 3. I can do that. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, if you guys have any additional questions, I'm happy to
Re-
address or ask.
Resolution 2024.05/14, resolution to approve an obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate application for 206 Days Avenue Holdings LLC, 206 Days Avenue, Buchanan, Michigan, 49107.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a twist in this because I want some serious discussion because I haven't been in the loop. I move that an appraisal be done by United Federal Credit Union before exception and paid for by 206 Days Avenue Holding LLC.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there support? Asking again if there's support for the motion on the floor. Hearing none, motion dies. Anyone else like to make a motion?
This is money I'd move to approve resolution 2024.05/14 as presented.
I'll support.
Thank you.
Question.
Any discussion?
The assessed value on this property is $3,300. How did we come up with that number? When I called the assessor, I was told that there was windows that were needed to be, but that's a brand new building behind that facade in the front, isn't it? Who's the owner that's in here? Isn't there a brand new building behind that wall? Basically, there's new walls and everything else behind that wall.
Basically, I mean, there's a lot of walls that need to come out and restructured. I don't know about new building behind those walls.
There's no building behind that wall?
Which wall are you talking about?
The front wall, because see, that front wall has to be left standing, otherwise you can't build on that property.
Right, so that's being left, but there's also, I mean, it's not new. I mean, they're running into beams, major beams that need to be replaced and everything.
But they
else.
did substantial work on that building prior to today.
They did a loft that probably should have never been done by, or approved in, to begin with. I would say that it was done wrong. A lot of that stuff's being torn out.
Okay. But was there a new assessment done on the property after it was closed?
The assessor's been working on it, but I can't speak on that, I'm not sure.
I talked to the assessor today. First of all, I just want to remind the process is the state statute allows you to enter into an Oprah certificate. They require local approval. That's what we're here for. We create the district, and then the local body of government approves it. The state has requirements. They have a whole application process. It's in your packet. It starts with the nature of the property. It goes on to part 2 and part 3 with the assessor recommendations. The assessor comes up and uses the handbook to come up with her numbers that she proposes and is answered in assessor recommendation part 3. She also has to come up with a affidavit that documents the property and confirms the property is obsolete. She has done that. There's additional documents that are attached to the application, which has not been submitted yet, because we can't submit it until you make this vote tonight and give us authorization. Again, a required step in the timeline. So we have done everything, as we have with the last 2 Oprah applications, that's required by the state. If you have questions about numbers or processes or calculations, the city assessor is happy to talk to you. I talked to her today about this because I anticipated questions tonight, and she is more than happy to answer those questions. However, she confirms that these are the numbers that the process in her handbook has yielded, and And there's other parts of the application, again, that has been included in the public packet and in your packet this evening that speak to the general description of the obsolete facility, the proposed use of the rehabilitative facility, the general description of the rehabilitation to be undertaken, the fixed building equipment, and a list of costs that will be invested. And I will remind you the $1.25 million that is on the, that is, has been approved on the state level if we move forward with this. So all those, every piece of documentation that's required for us to advance this application to the state has been completed. And what we need is approval, a majority approval from the commission tonight, and we'll move forward.
I just want to make one other point, Your Honor. I make the phone calls down here, but Rich refuses to answer my phone calls. So a lot of this down here that everybody thinks I'm argumentative or fighting, he does need to answer my phone calls because I could have settled this 90 seconds on the phone. I'm not going to spend 2 hours going through what he's putting at me, wasting my time, when I could ask him a couple of questions and get an answer in 90 seconds. So I just want that on the record. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and we have support. We have roll call, please.
Swam,
Abstain, business interest.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes, and could Mr. Swim state his reason for abstaining, please?
I said business.
Oh, I
business
didn't hear you.
interest.
I'm sorry.
Yep, I do have a business interest.
Money,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving down to new business. The Finance Department with City Manager Tim Lynch.
Okay, the first one we're going to address here is the delinquent utility bills applied to summer taxes. We have gone through and identified delinquent utility bills being water, sewer, and mowing bills that are delinquent out more than 6 months. It is the practice of the commission to authorize adding those bills to the responsible party's summer taxes. So with that, we would request we approve this associated motion.
Someone like to make a motion?
So just one quick comment on it. Instead of waiting till the end, I think is it Kennedy? Did I say that correctly? I don't think LRS comes up for renewal until 2026. I believe it was a 5-year contract, but it's not part of this delinquent run.
And the city needs to be in the business of collecting for private companies.
Agreed.
Yeah,
We
and
run,
they're-
these are for utilities we run ourselves. So with that, I'll move to approve the city administration to add the delinquent utility bills to the responsible party summer taxes as presented.
Thank
I'll
you. Is there
second.
support?
I want to make a comment too. These delinquent bills, you would probably know this, aren't they sent out 30 days, 60 days, 90 days before they actually go into taxes?
It's 6 months, so yeah,
So you get a warning.
You get, yeah, it's on your monthly bill of what your
So
past due, yeah.
you have 180 days to take care of it before it winds up in recall or,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
There's a motion on the floor and we have support.
On the same topic, and I don't mean to call you out, Mr. Kennedy, but I want to, it's a great topic because it affects everyone in this room if you have their service. And I would just say that if you find there is a collective consensus on this type of detriment to continue with LRS, then, and during contract renewal, if you all recall, we didn't have this company before. It was Buchanan. They got bought out of everybody's control in this room. So if it's, they like to compete when they know they can get a municipality. So there is always options. If you bring something to our attention and it is a significant amount of people, then LRS is now under scrutiny, not only from the city perspective, but now they have to bring rationale as to why they think they're a better suit for us as a company that picks up our trash. So,
There has to be something in the contract that their responsibilities also extend
yeah,
to us as far as customer service.
right, agreed.
Okay.
If they're in breach of contract, 5 years doesn't.
Point of order, Your Honor.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yep.
move on to.
Just making that
Good.
statement. Thank you.
We have a motion, we have support. We have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 2,
Okay, as part of the budgeting process, we have reviewed the line item accounts for each department and fund, including general fund, major streets, local streets, and the water sewer funds. This process includes review, projection, and analysis of over 300 line items. Based on that review, we are confident of the amendments before you this evening and would request consideration of your approval of these budget amendments.
Could you give us some idea how many hours you spent on this, Tim? Because it's something that hasn't been done very thoroughly for 75 years. So,
Well, last week, we probably spent 20 hours on it, and even more time before that. But it helps that you're doing it in the budget process, because all these line items come to the fore. And we can identify where we're at, where we're gonna end up, and where we think we can amend, and we're still fairly conservative with it.
thank you.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2023-2024 budget amendments as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So real quick, since we didn't have discussion there, I think it's really important to recognize the staff on their ability to put a budget together and follow it through in the black as what we're projected for this year. So great work on that, and I know that was a heavy mindset in the next topic on how you came up with your figures for next fiscal year. But the amount of progress we've made over the last 12 months has been excellent.
I agree.
So thank you to the team for being
Yeah, no
conscious
doubt.
of taxpayer dollars there.
There's one other thing I wanted to bring up about the budget. I don't know we voted on it, but there's, and it's only $4,000. And Larry, you might hit me, so just tell me.
Does this have to
Are
do
you
with
in the
amendments
amended
or the
budget or
Oh, no,
We're
okay,
still in the
okay,
amendments.
okay.
Let's move
Yeah.
down to,
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, just say you.
actually, we're down to expenditures, right?
Right.
Yes.
Sorry.
You got questions about that?
No, I went through it. We're still paying, I mean, the engineers are just milking us big time. But other than that, it seems to be getting in line more and more. And I don't want to take it out of the consent calendar because I go through it line by line. And I usually talk to Tim, and he irons out any questions I have before we come to the meeting. So thank you.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the expenditures for May 28th in the amount of $70,069.84.
I will second
Is
for
that the
you.
correct one?
Yep.
Not Sure.
Roll call, please.
Yes, that's,
that's right.
yeah, that's not the one.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, our budget presentation.
Okay.
Mr. Lynch.
Thank you.
Didn't write fast.
Before I get started, I'd like to note that I'm quite pleased with our budget and finances for all funds. As we wind up this fiscal year, I find the city's finances in good shape, and that you will see a common theme as we progress through the budget, that several categories in department expenses are under budget, and that proposed expense amounts for 24-25 are less than the current fiscal year in many categories. In addition, you will note that each of the major funds will project a surplus when comparing revenues versus expenses. The format for the budget will be as follows. I will provide a budget overview. I will provide a summary of all major budget funds. We will go through the general fund revenues, the general fund expenses, the major street budget, the local street budget, the street repair and maintenance fund, a review of our smaller capital replacement items, a 10-year capital plan review, and lastly, we will review the water sewer budget that has already been reviewed and recommended for approval by the Joint Water Sewer Board. And it has been approved by the Buchanan Township Board. So with that, I will start out with a narrative on our budget letter. Enclosed tonight, I will be presenting the operating maintenance and capital general fund budget for 24-25 for the city of Buchanan. In addition to the general fund budget, the 24-25 information will also be presented relating to budgets for major streets, local streets, and the water sewer fund. Also included is a summary of our 10-year capital plan and budgeted items for new and replacement equipment. This budget has been formulated to address the priorities of the City Commission and the citizens of Buchanan. The proposed general fund budget is a balanced budget, and it anticipates revenues and expenses of $3,680,067 and $3,395,650 respectively. In addition, $202,000 has been budgeted for replacement equipment expenses. Capital improvements for the coming year include completion of the construction of the Department of Public Works building, initial construction work for the Front Street Downtown Improvement Project. This undertaking will include significant investment in the city's roads, sewer, and water infrastructures. In addition, the culvert repair at Days Avenue, McCoy Creek is included, and the Front Street retaining wall replacement project will be addressed. As far as our finances, the favorable interest rates will continue to bolster our investment reserve accounts in the coming year. Over $400,000 in interest income will be earned this year and added to the investment funds for this fiscal year. This budget includes conservative revenues and expenditures, with the expenditures only 2% greater than last year and nearly 30% less than 2 years ago. Controlling expenses going forward will be a challenge, as personnel, utilities, and retained service costs are major components of our budget. We will make every effort to achieve financial strength and organizational stability as we carry out the spending plan for the city of Buchanan in 2024-25. With that, turn your page to page 1 there. And this was a general overview of the revenue expenses for all the major funds. I will provide a general overview, and then we'll drill down into each fund as we progress through the presentation. The way this format is set up, the left-hand column is actual audited numbers from last fiscal year. The middle 3 columns are what we have budgeted and projected for this fiscal year. And in the last column is what we are proposing for 24-25. So for general fund revenues, last year we brought in $3,602,280. This year we budgeted $3,520,500. We're projecting to come in at $3,661,322 and proposing for next year $3,680,067. For the general fund expenses, we budgeted this year $3,326,050. We're projecting to come in significantly under budget at $2.9 million, proposing for next year $3,395,650. Interest income for all funds, we budgeted $300,000. We're going to come in more around $420,000, proposing for next year $350,000. Major street revenues, we are forecasting $550,000 this year, $560,000 for next year. Major street expenses, we're coming in under budget at $409,448, proposing for next year $473,500. Local street revenues, projecting to come in at $401,374, proposing for next year $393,374. Local street expenses, under budget at $316,311, proposing for next year $359,900. Water sewer revenues came in a good amount higher than what we budgeted, $3,299,386, proposing for next year $3,317,000. The water sewer expenses come in under budget, projected at $1,415,581, proposing for next year $1,734,000. With these surpluses, we will be addressing our bond and loan payments, and you'll see down in that right-hand column, the bottom, there's 4 bonds and loans there, totaling $1,084,834. The good news is a couple of those bonds will be falling off here in 29 and 30, and that'll free up funds for our additional loans that we'll be taking on. Those loans do not take into account the USDA loans anticipated for upcoming water and sewer infrastructure projects. And we'll be determining what those are as we go into our talks with USDA and our obligations for these current projects. The next page is the revenues, the general fund revenues proposed for including the new millage rate. I'll go over the big ones. If you have any questions, please let me know. Real property taxes. We budgeted $1,410,000. We're projecting to come in at $1,750,000, proposing for next year $1,969,000. Medical marijuana state revenue. We budgeted $275,000. We were pleasantly surprised when we brought in $357,908, proposing for next year $300,000. Building permits. We're coming in good on our building permits. We budgeted $30,000. We've had a flurry of activity recently, and we will realize that $30,000 that we had budgeted. Medical marijuana permits have been decreasing. We budgeted $150,000. We're gonna come in around $86,500. We reduced our revenue for next year to $80,000. State constitutional sales tax, we're projecting to come in at $675,000, proposing for next year $720,000. If there are no questions on that page, I'll go to the next page of revenues as we start to tail off on our revenues. Interest earned on investments, halfway down the page. When I put the budget together last year, I did not realize that our investment funds were spread across 16 different funds, reserves. I thought it was all for the general fund, so I budgeted $300,000. Well, still we did okay. We brought in $52,000 and we budgeted $50,000 for next year. Workers' comp dividend. We are members of the Michigan Municipal League Property Liability and Workers' Comp Pool, and so they sent us a check for $12,709 this year. We're proposing $6,000 for next year. One revenue you really don't want to have much is insurance recoveries. We brought in $45,265 there as some of our equipment got damaged and repaired, and so even though we got those funds, it meant damage to our equipments and claims. So total general fund revenues. Last year, $3,602,280. Budgeted for this year, $3,520,500. We're projecting to come in higher than that at $3,661,322. Proposing for next year, $3,680,067. That's $160,000 over this year's budget. It's about 4.5% in increased anticipated revenues. Okay, if there's no questions there, we'll move into the expenses. These are the general fund expenses by department. And if you want to get into the line item by line item, that is included back in the supplemental information. But pretty much every department has similar expense items, being salaries, fringes, materials and supplies, contractual items, training, property and liability insurance, and maintenance. So pretty much every category has those costs. Major costs in each department are your salaries and fringes. And the fringes comprise many different items, such as your FICA taxes, your employer pension contribution, your health, dental, vision, and life insurance, your health savings account contributions, workers' compensation, and your unemployment compensation. So we'll start out at the top with the city commission. There are several elements in the city commission department that you need to be aware of. It includes public relations, grant funding, legal costs, marketing, and this year we've included SMACUS, our ambulance service expense in there for $80,000. And we had $75,000 in there this year, and as I understand it, we are still waiting on that bill. So that is why that line item is as large as it is. We have SMACUS funding in there. We budgeted $305,000, coming in under budget at $224,000. Proposing for next year, $303,500. Again, slightly less than what we budgeted this current fiscal year. The city manager department, we budgeted $282,000. We're going to come in around $189,550. Proposing for next year, $261,500. The city clerk and the elections, we budgeted more for next year than this year, mainly due to election law ramifications have costs, and there's going to be 3 elections in the coming year, and so that means more election workers. And so the city clerk budget, we bumped up $28,000, about 26% to $136,200, and the elections we bumped up to $74,200, $13,000 more, about 21% increase. Building and grounds, we're coming in under budget there, projected at $188,517, proposing for next year $230,500. And you'll see again, there's a lot of less than last year in this budget, less than last year, because we were more confident of our numbers, and we can have better cost controls on those. Police, they are 37% of the general fund budget. Last year, the police incurred costs of $1,235,736. We budgeted $1,222,300 this year. I believe we're going to come in under budget at $1,169,676, and proposing for next year $1,262,600. That's a $42,000 increase, and that includes sending 2 new recruits to the training academy and putting them on our force. Just a point of note, the salaries and fringes for the police department are $1.1 million of that $1.262 million budget.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yes,
Because I
ma'am.
really looked into that 8 years ago, because I thought it was extortionately high. But every community pays about 45 to 50% of their budget in fire and safety. So I just wanted to make that point, because it's gonna be a high number.
Yes, yep, 37%, Dan. The fire department, we bumped that budget up to $125,150, that's $13,000 more, about 11.6%. We plan to reinstate our fire inspection program, and that includes funding for a part-time employee to administer that program. Department of Public Works, we're going to come in under budget at $335,662. We're proposing next year an increase of $22,000 to $379,000. That's about a 6.2% increase. Cemetery, budgeting a little bit less than this current fiscal year at $171,300. For the parks and Barb, we bumped that budget up to $34,500, a little over $7,000 increase, 28%. And the economic development, we kept that budget at $75,000, same as this year. However, there are elements of economic development in the city commission and the city manager departments. So we have economic development covered in other departments as well. Total operating and maintenance expenses for the general fund. Last year, $3,435,051. This year we budgeted $3,326,050. I believe we'll come in under that significantly at $2,864,046. Proposing for next year, $3,395,650. That's a $70,000 increase over this current fiscal year budget, about 2.1%. And again, the surpluses we generate will be utilized for debt service and miscellaneous transfers. And with that, I'll move on to our major and local streets. Next page is our major street budget. We have 11.7 miles of major streets in Buchanan. The primary source of revenue is the Act 51 dollars, the gas and weight tax. We're projecting to bring in $510,000 this year, proposing for next year $525,000. Interest earned on our investments. Our reserve fund is just shy of $1 million. We're gonna bring in about $40,000 this year on interest income, and we're proposing $35,000 for next year. Total major street revenues, we're projecting $550,000, proposing for next year $560,000. On the expense side, on our major streets, we have, there's 45 line items in that department, and the major expense there is our routine street maintenance at $184,500 proposed for next year. Total major street expenses, we budgeted $516,800. We're going to come in under budget at projecting at $409,448, proposing for next year. $473,500, that's $43,000 less than this year's budget, about 8%. And you'll see on each of those columns for the projected and the proposed, there is a surplus for this year and next year. With that, we'll move into local streets. 16.5 miles of local streets in Buchanan. Primary source of revenue is the gas and weight tax again of $170,000 proposed for next year. We are also anticipating $20,000 for a telecommunications annual fee, which is actually a fee charged to the utilities for siting their utilities in the right-of-way of the streets. And so we're gonna bring in $20,000 there. It's called the Metro Act, it's a state fund. Total local street revenues, we're projecting to bring in $401,374, proposing for next year $393,374. Again, that is less than we budgeted for this fiscal year. On the expense side, again, just like your major streets, you have similar categories in your local streets. Total local street expense, we budgeted $377,900. We're projecting to come in under budget at $316,311, proposing for next year $359,900. Again, we're projecting a surplus this year, and we're budgeting for a slight surplus next year. Our next page is our street repair and maintenance fund. I believe that fund has been set up to help fund our major and local streets. We transfer some funds in from the general fund. There is interest income included in there as well for the street repair and maintenance reserves. We have $15,000 budgeted for next year. So total revenues for the street repair and maintenance fund, we are forecasting $453,850 this year and $465,000 next year. On the expense side of that, we are forecasting $313,097 for this year and a similar number for next year of $313,374. The brownfield TIF, that is somewhat of an inactive hibernating account as we have, the tax captures have expired there. They have about $200,000 in their reserve investment funds. The only income they'll get in this next coming year is $6,000 in interest income, and there are no expenses associated with that department account fund for next year or this year. With that, I will proceed on to some of our smaller replacement equipment items that the city has identified. The majority of these would be funded through reserves from the appropriate funds. City Hall has identified some items that need to be addressed, including the parking lot, the building evaluation, and a newer vehicle for our building inspector. The police department and Department of Public Works, they have some significant needs that are included on the 10-year plan, which we'll evaluate that one next. The water and sewer department has $155,000 in projects identified. The number one being their water well number 1A overhaul. That has not been overhauled in over 20 years. That well has exhibited decreased performance, and it needs to be rehabilitated. The cemetery has some work included. A lot of this was from last year. There's some concrete floor work, the overhead door work, and some stained glass work in the chapel.
This is where I wanted to, you might want to hit me, but I'd like to ask the Legion to contribute to that stained glass, up to $2,500. And then I want to ask the Trail and the Lions for $750. That would eliminate that $4,000. I don't know if that's possible. That's why I knew you'd look at me sideways.
Well,
But all you can do is ask. All you can do is get said no.
yeah,
And that's why I'm asking.
Actually, we're looking at replacing or repairing those big doors that are on the front of that, because as Mike is well aware, those are in disarray. And, yeah, that's probably something I can take to our board, because we do utilize the chapel, and/or, monies for the door and like I said, maybe, probably the stained glass, depending on, I'm talking to a fellow right now about the doors, and we haven't been able to connect, but, seemed pretty positive. He's a local fellow, so, I don't know what he can do to those doors. I don't know if they can be resurfaced, but yeah, I would be more than happy to approach the American Legion on that stained glass project, so.
I'm in contact with an individual too, so when we get our numbers together, I'll let you know.
The door?
The stained glass.
For the stained
Yeah, I'm
glass?
working on the
Okay.
stained glass.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
anything about it, but I can, try to secure some kind of funds for that.
Great. Okay, with that, we can move on to the 10-year capital plan. That's on the next page. We unveiled this last year, and what we try to do is identify the smaller project items, the immediate needs, and try to go out 10 years so that we have these projects in the forefront of our mind going forward. And you'll see the left-hand column is the most current year, 24-25, what we'll be planning to address in the coming year. So I'll start out at the top of that left-hand column. The $202,000 we just went through is at the top of the list there. That's on the prior page. The Department of Public Works is in need of a street sweeper, and when we had our workshop, we all agreed that that is something we should pursue in this coming year, and Mike has been working on getting some pricing on that. I haven't given up on the sidewalk and demolition fund. I think that we could still institute a program. I see the need here, and it's just a matter of coming up with a proper plan of trying to get it to work. The new Department of Public Works building is nearly complete. There's still about $1.7 million to be billed on that. We're nearing substantial completion, and that is scheduled for August. The downtown infrastructure project, both the MDOT and the infrastructure has been bid out. It's about $15.3 million in construction, and then there's some additional costs that go along with that, engineering and legal. However, we've got that spread out over the next 3 years, and there's corresponding loans available for that, and we'll be addressing that in the coming year. The water wells and treatment plant have currently been removed from this project, but they still need to be addressed, and that project is not gonna go away. The Days Avenue McCoy Creek culvert, that is in there. We have $1.1 million set for that. The Front Street retaining wall is in there. The Baroda Tire and Feed Mill demo, we're in line for some grant funding on there. We'd at least like to take a stab at getting some of that work done this coming year. The road repairs and the water sewer capital plan all kind of go hand in hand, and we're planning on getting together this fall so we can identify and prioritize some projects so we can have some smaller projects that we can do on a yearly basis. And the wastewater treatment plant, we had a new plant in 2020. The old plant's still there. The tanks and structures and equipment are there. Some are still usable for certain things, or we should demolish them. So I want that in the forefront of everybody's mind, that we should at least have a plan of what we're gonna do there. Maybe repurpose some of those tanks and use them for some type of storage or something, but I think we ought to look into that. The new police and fire complex has been talked about. It was brought up in our goal-setting sessions, and that needs to stay on our 10-year capital plan as well. The police department, they have a 5-year plan. It includes vehicles, technology, and the like, and there's always needs in the police department as well. And then at some point, we're going to need to replace our Department of Public Works Vector truck, and I've got that in the next 5 years as well. So if you see, we're just under $8 million for this current fiscal year in projects. The 5-year total comes to about $34 million. 10-year total comes to about $55 million. There's always something to be addressed.
I've been asked several times, Tim, where are we at on the Front Street project? Where, is it next summer where we're gonna start that, or?
It was bid out. The downtown, the MDOT portion of it was bid a month or two ago, and that came in around $5 million, just under 5. And the remaining work for the water, sewer, infrastructure, work out to the wastewater plant, that came in last Thursday at about $10.5 million, I believe.
Okay.
So there's where I come up with the $15.3 million. And there are corresponding loans out there for that we will secure at a really good rate, and then we'll have to come up with, these surpluses that we're developing for paying off those loans. And it's,
So could we say maybe next spring before we start on that project?
some of it will start yet this fall, but you won't see a whole lot. I think they're talking about, you'll see some silt fencing going up this year,
Okay.
soon, and you'll see possibly some trees being cut.
Okay.
But the majority of the work will be from spring of '25 until August of '26.
Yeah, which in the first phase, if we all recall, is from the back of the plant, I think, to the
Coming-
main intersection.
Mhm.
The main downtown is the second half of that.
Okay.
So part of what's holding that up is they can't cut into the creek until May 1st, right? I think that was the date.
There's an October to May restriction. where
They're
you
not allowed
can't-
to work on the creek until May.
Cause
So-
we're worried about the trout or the suckers?
The bats.
The bass?
The bats.
So part of the, so
BAT.
part of what we're waiting on is we just got the bids, and we still have to find contractors and
I knew it was
do all
something.
that stuff, so
Yeah.
it's coming.
It's I-94 all over again.
Yeah, right? Hope not.
No, definitely
Please
not.
don't
Definitely
say
not.
that.
I do have one question, and it might be living in a different part of the budget, but we had talked about some reinvestment into the parks again this year. Are we still putting that on the radar, or is that something we'll talk about in the fall?
It's on the radar. We should talk about it in the fall and determine if the commission would like to allocate some funds to that.
Great.
Okay, the last thing I would need to do is go through the water sewer budget. I'll do it briefly because it's already been approved by Buchanan Township and it's been recommended for approval to this commission from our joint water sewer board. The water sewer budget anticipates revenues of $3,317,000 and expenses of $2,669,287, with the expenses including all current bond and loan payments. On the positive side, our systematic rate adjustments, including the 8% in the resolution tonight, have provided a sustainable financial environment to improve our aging infrastructure as we embark on more major projects this summer. The water sewer fund has nearly $3.5 million in investments, earning interest at a rate of over $150,000 a year, and is available to address current and future capital needs. Some of the challenges are real similar to what we have in our general fund. We're managing and controlling our ever-increasing costs such as payroll, pension, insurances, utilities, and raw material costs. Currently, another challenge we're facing is that we're in an environment of increasing regulatory mandates and associated costs relating to lead service line replacements, water system material inventory rules, PFAS testing, mercury testing, stormwater pollution management, asset management, just to name a few. So we need to adapt and try to do things in our budget so we can approach those challenges and overcome them. One thing we've done is we've identified and funded for an additional environmental compliance type person, an environmental compliance supervisor. That person would get licenses, be stormwater certified, administer the regulatory requirements, and ensure our laboratory is in compliance. And they would be well-versed in stormwater management, asset management, and the industrial pretreatment program associated with our industrial users, mainly the landfill. And that would exhibit to the regulators that we have dedicated resources toward complying with our regulatory requirements. So there's just one other, I just want to say that our water system, our water system produces 500,000 gallons a day of clean drinking water that is chlorinated and fluoridated for the public health. Our wastewater treatment plant, we have an advanced secondary treatment process that was developed in the Netherlands, and it's very efficient in ammonia nitrogen removal. They treat just slightly less than 1 million gallons a day to exceptional standards that we discharge to the St. Joseph River. And there's one more chart I want to show you here. That's page 1 in the water sewer budget. We are anticipating revenues this fiscal year of $3,299,386. Proposing for next year $3,317,000. And on the water and sewer expenses, $1,734,000 in expenses. And then we have loans that we mentioned earlier to the tune of $935,287. So with that, we're seeking to get the resolution for the budgets approved tonight. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I think you'll see that our finances are in fairly good shape, and we can identify and try to control costs where we need to.
I just want to ask one question because it's asked several times of me. The ready to serve. Now, I instituted that 8% annual growth because at the time everybody was jumping their bills by 50 and 60%. I never dreamt in a million years that it was going to be 8% annually forever. Is that something that's going to stop?
That is going to be evaluated when we take in these bonds and loans, or the loans coming forward, and we needed, it was recommended that we implement that 8% at least until we can analyze where we're at this year.
I mean, because there was a lot of time spent on coming up with that 8%. It was very difficult because nobody wanted to do it, but we needed to do something. So,
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned it at the last meeting, but in case I didn't, so the water sewer board at our last meeting brought in rural water, and it's a free service to us because of our population base. They're actually doing a secondary rate analysis that really is going to get into the nitty gritty of why we charge what we charge, and is it appropriate, and a big component of that budget, as you can see here, is we have a lot of debt associated in that fund. for good reason. You know, it's our responsibility to make sure we discharge appropriately into the St. Joseph River, especially with the industrial waste we take in. So when we start seeing debt fall off, that will make those increases much more manageable or spread further apart over time. But it'll be really interesting to see what that rate analysis tells us. We're expecting that sometime in the third quarter. It's going to take him most of the summer. And it's free to our citizens. So it was something the Water Sewer Board was adamant about getting him in here and getting a look at.
Any other questions for the city manager?
No, I just want to thank and I want to congratulate Tim. He did get the MAC championship certificate last month or the beginning of this month. So congratulations, Tim, for being an infrastructure champion.
Nicely done.
You're welcome.
I want to thank you and everybody in City Hall for, I know you've been spending a lot of time on this budget, and we appreciate all your efforts. Looks good. Thank you very much. Someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2024.05-15 FY 2024-2025 budget as presented.
Is there support?
This is money I'll support.
Can we have roll call, please?
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski.
I was just yes, I was getting in touch with my Biden side, Kala, reading everything.
Good job, Dan.
Thanks again, Tim. I know it's been a lot of work, and I know you've been working through the weekends on it, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving down to communications, anything? Nope. Okay, public comment for non-agenda items. If you'd like to make a public comment, please make your way to the podium. State your name for the minutes.
Hello, I am Laura Freeling, and I am your Register of Deeds at Berrien County. This is kind of for the commission as well as for attendees. I believe part of my responsibility as an elected official is also to bring awareness to the public of services that are provided by our office. To that end, I just want to talk to everyone about Property Alert. It is an email notification service for documents that are recorded in our office. So if a person chooses to start up a subscription, they put in criteria moving forward. There is a daily comparison of documents that have been recorded, and if anything matches your criteria that you put in your subscription, you would receive an email notification. I think this can have huge benefits for all property owners. It would let you know if a discharge of mortgage was recorded. Perhaps you've engaged in the easement with a neighbor, and the neighbor's recording it. You would know when it was recorded. A fellow register of mine was telling me about a gentleman in his in his county that was monitoring Mother's property, and Mother received an alert that there was a notice of commencement recorded against her or with her name. It was for like $18,000 worth of septic work, and he said, "Mom, we just had your septic tank replaced a year ago, so what's going on?" She's like, "I don't know, I was trying to sign up for a maintenance service." So he was able to contact the vendor that was providing the service. They cleared up the misunderstanding. Mother got her maintenance, and they released the notice of commencement. So you can see how it could have huge benefits and potentially help combat fraud. It's important to note that no matter what you have, whether it be like a LifeLock, fraud alert, there's others out there, property record identification or notification. This one, Property Alert through Berrien County. They don't prevent fraud from happening, but they give early notification and empower the property owner to take action as appropriate. Once a document comes into our office, if it meets recording requirements, by statute, I have to record it. So to that end, I just wanted to let everyone know about it. Again, I think it's a huge benefit to all property owners. I do have some brochures out there on the table. I'm happy, I'll stay after and happy to talk to anyone who has questions. Feel free to call me. Again, Laura Freeling, your Register of Deeds at Berrien County. Call the office and ask for me, and I'm happy to help you sign up, walk through it, or answer any questions. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment?
Again, Michael Rowland, 4793 Tulip Tree Lane. I'll make this brief. I know this is a long meeting. I just wanted to let everybody know this Saturday we will be having the first concert of the concert series, kicking it off with Brendan Bayless of Humphreys McGee. We are expecting quite a large crowd. The numbers for it's always a guessing game to figure out how many people we're going to have, but basing that off of social media, outreach to our offices, and other items, we believe it'll be very similar to last year's biggest show, which we're also doing again this year at the end of the year. It's a great opportunity for local businesses. I mean, it's definitely going to be more than 1,000 people, and it could be upwards of 3,000+ people downtown. So we'll have, obviously, we have a great partnership with Buchanan Police Department to make sure, as always, these shows are safe and equitable for the community. But I hope, the businesses also, consider being open and consider participating in everything. That's gotten better every single year that we've done this, and it's really became a really big part of the fabric of our downtown in summertime. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, let's move to executive comments. Mr. Lynch?
Okay, I just want to update on a couple projects here. For the Front Street retaining wall, myself and Mike Baker, we had an initial meeting with the engineering firm working with us on this project. It was a very productive meeting. We and they are anxious to get started on a proposed fix and design in the next week or so. So they're ready to get going right away. As far as the McCoy Creek culvert, a joint permit application has been submitted to the Eagle for the inland lakes and streams. We participated in a pre-application meeting with the Eagle representative in March. The project type, summary, and efforts to minimize disturbance of the stream, along with alternatives, have been identified. The permit is a 15-page document, and it's in their hands now, and they're reviewing it. I do plan to come back in a couple weeks with an engineering proposal with the next steps through construction, including a project design, bidding, and securing a contractor. So we're moving along on that one as well.
Don't kill any bats.
Need them for the mosquitoes.
And
We're in the clear in that window.
last but not least, I think as we went through the budget, I'm confident we have a good handle on our finances, and we're continually improving on controlling our costs to the benefit of the city. We are working on producing clear and understandable financial statements as we are getting prepared for the financial audit and its related processes, which are just around the corner. So we're already getting ready for the audit, so it never ends.
Good man.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Whedon?
Just real brief, it has more importantly to do with Mr. Lynch and the leadership that you've shown, and it has a significant impact on the results that we see in the budget before us today, and what we see coming into the future. Leadership isn't quantifiable sometimes, but it's pretty obvious how much influence it's had on the situation we're in today, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Swam?
Yeah, big kudos to the team again on the budget. Excellent work. I tried to come by monthly and have a sit down with them, and I can tell we're making significant progress from the beginning when Larry and I got elected. This is hands down the most insight we've been able to gather as a commission, and I feel like if we have questions, we can quickly determine an answer there. And I know throughout the year the commission's approved various investments to control overtime, control our management, and understand the budget much better than we did 4 years ago. So excellent work on all of that to every one of our staff members. Just want to make sure the public knows, outside of the standard inflation, the city did not raise your taxes this year. So once again, we're maintaining with what we've already been earning. Tim, when do we estimate our union negotiations potentially wrapping up?
We're just in the initial stages of them right now, and due to some conflicts, we'll be meeting with both unions in mid-June.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at alternative health insurance plans. I can't really give you a date yet.
Yeah, no, that's
but
fair.
It's in progress, and whatever we do agree to will probably include a retroactive clause to bring everything back to July 1.
Yep.
If we go beyond July 1.
Yep. So, just so our team is aware, that's gonna be another additional time commitment to the staff here, so, leaving budget season right into union negotiations, he's gonna have his hands full. So, I was curious in my notes when we were gonna have our next strategic planning session, and it sounds like we can get that going as soon as those wrap up, which I'm looking forward to. And that's all I have tonight.
Mr. Bianski?
I get the alerts from the county, and I seen that they were gonna bid out a job for the 911 center. I thought that's what this building in Buchanan was. Do you know anything about that at all?
Just that it's gonna be out here, I thought.
Yeah, but they're gonna, do you know anything about that at all, Laura?
I-
Okay, well, I'll make a phone call.
I'm pretty up to speed. I believe that the initial estimates, I don't know if you were on I think you were on the commission when the county sent us those estimates originally. That was just proposals.
No,
that
this
they
is,
thought-
this is for their building in St. Joe.
Oh, this is the St. Joe?
They're putting bids out for the St.
So
Joe
they're
property.
keeping both centers.
To
so-
redo the St. Joe
Yeah,
property.
they're keeping both locations.
They are gonna keep both?
Yeah, they are
Okay.
keeping both locations.
All right, well, thank you very much. I don't have, I mean, every time I talk to Tim the last 3 months, I'm working on the budget, I ain't got time to talk to you. So now he's not working on the budget, so he's gonna have to talk to me, he's already promised me 5 minutes, so I'm happy.
Is that it?
That's all I got.
All right. Mr. Money?
I'm glad you're happy.
I'm happy as a camper.
Well, I want to thank Tim and the staff that worked on this budget. It sounds really promising for the city of Buchanan. I hope that can hit the social media and the newspapers that, we aren't a failing city. So, thank you very much for everything that you're doing here. Mr. Reed and Associates, congratulations on the Oprah exemption. It's really gonna be nice to see that building taken care of and future plans for what's going on. I do wanna take off my little city commission hat here just for a second and make a couple statements on behalf of the American Legion, which I do represent, and everything that happened this past Memorial Day weekend. I know it was pretty hectic here in the city. There were complaints about the cemetery and everything. I want to thank Mike Baker and all of his crew and the cemetery crew for the great job that they did. I know I had some problems, and I had to go down here and dig Mike out of a hole that he was buried in, replanting a tree down here and fixing the sewer system, and ask him about, since we had strong winds coming in, what's he gonna do about these new flags that we got flying in the city if there was supposedly supposed to be 60 miles an hour wind. I noticed Saturday morning that was taken care of. I also had a call and request one of the guys to come out and help set up the stage for our Memorial Day presentation. No hesitation, the guys were out there. So next time you see maybe one of the DPW workers leaning on his shovel, just remember all of the good work that they did, and they deserve a break too. Thank you also to Harvey and the Buchanan City Police Department for a great parade. The crowd control was great. It's kind of cool. I get a firsthand view because I'm still able to walk it, and there was a lot of good turnout. Everything went very well. So back to the City Commission. I'm excited for all of the projects that we're going to get started on here. The Front Street, the wall has been a bit of contention in social media, along with the Thrill on the Hill and stuff, but people just don't realize everything that's going on down here. So if you do have questions, come in and sit on a meeting or talk to somebody. Once again, appreciate the work that all this staff does down here. They're a great bunch of folks, And thank you to this commission for what they do. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks again to Tim and the city staff for putting together a great budget and all the hard work they put into it. And I do want to thank Michael Reed and his group for investing in Buchanan. I'm happy we can help in any way we can. If we don't help you guys, I don't know who's going to touch that building. So we're really excited for the future. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
There's support.
Money will support.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Your adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.